Welcome to the podcast. It is Sunday night. Again, you're going to get this hot off the press tomorrow morning. Within the next few hours, it's actually kind of early for us. It is before 9 p.m., Carley.
That's true.
She has guests and she had to kind of sneak away. But
yeah, I'm hiding out for a minute.
We made it. We knew how much you guys would be like, where's the podcast? Because we know that there's so many avid listeners that just can't stand to go a single week without listening to us.
Yeah, so if those listeners haven't liked and subscribed yet, they should.
That's exactly right. That's a little pitch to you, a little soft nudge to like and subscribe and give us your comments and reviews, all those awesome things. It's been a busy week here in Utah. If you're not from Utah, we celebrated the 24th of July, which celebrates the
Pioneer Day.
Yep, pioneers coming into the valley. Are you born and bred from pioneers?
I have 3 out of my 4 grandparents are converts to the church. I have one that is comes from pioneer heritage. So I do have some, but a lot of my like my mom's side, both converts.
Like I'm straight up from polygamy, I tell you. I mean, my third great
my
grandpa.
maiden name is
it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I come from George Washington Bean. If there's anybody who comes from George Washington Bean, we're related.
I come from, like, John Taylor is my third great grandfather, and Wilford Woodruff is my fourth great grandfather. Wow. And in fact, speaking of one of the original Gritty Mamas, it was my, I don't know, 5th or 6th grandmother named Elizabeth. I don't even know her last name. Elizabeth Oakton Mills Whitaker something. She's got like 5 last names, right? But this is if you followed long enough, you will know the story. She was a Spitfire, and some Indians, or I should say Native Americans, indigenous people, whatever, they came and surrounded this Mormon pioneer camp. And so they all, we either went running and she went and hid in one of the covered wagons. And one of the braves went and lifted up the back of the wagon, and she took a little hatchet and was like chopping his hand as he reached in.
Wow.
But of course he grabbed her, and she was fighting so hard, and he put her on his horse and rode off with her. So kidnaps Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And her dad sees it, but she's fighting so hard on this horse that he's squeezing her, but she bites him right on the chest. Big old chomp. But he squeezes her so tight that she passes out because he's holding her. And when she wakes up, her cheek is glued to the dried blood on his chest.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So then to rescue her dad came, and they had to make something about this brave or this chief offered her a piece of bark. And the dad, when he arrived, he was like, Elizabeth, if you touch that piece of bark, there is nothing I can do, and you belong to him. So it was kind of almost I don't know, maybe a marriage proposal or something like that, right?
Interesting.
So they had to exchange, I don't know what it was, blankets, watches, whatever, in exchange for her. But
wow.
I like to pretend I get some of my, viciousness,
feistiness,
from her. But yes, I talked about her as one of the original Gritty Mama interviews. I talked to my dad about her. So, but anyway, yeah. So we celebrated the pioneers. I was actually in Bear Lake, which is a couple of hours away from here, from where I live, and celebrated with, cousins and family. No fireworks for us, which stinks. We got too many fire hazards here.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who are mad about it. Feels like, COVID all over again, telling us what we can and cannot do.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was 100 degrees today.
We're setting records. I want to say it got to 110 last week in Salt Lake.
Oh my gosh. It's
crazy.
So flipping hot. I know.
I mean,
so it was nice.
My sister's in town and she wanted to go. So we were like, let's go for a hike, and because my cousin wanted to go for a hike. And anyway, my sister was like, I want to do this in the morning. Can we do it at night? And I looked at the weather and I was like, it literally doesn't cool down. It will at 8:00 at night, it will still be 94 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
Like, so we did it at 7 a.m. instead when it was only 80 degrees.
Oh my word.
Isn't that
Yeah,
wild?
it was nice to be up by the lake where it wasn't so hot. It was like 10 degrees cooler, and then you could just jump in the lake, and anyway, it was good. I kind of spent a lot of the time on my computer trying to figure things out and, set some sort of livelihood up for myself, and hopefully it will happen. I'm so tired. I'm so tired again.
You've been seeing progress though.
Yeah, I've seen some progress. I just hope that I can maintain it. Now like it's interesting to listen to my own prayers shift, because now I'm like praying to keep the client so far, or clients, I have a couple, happy. And I'm like, this is so odd, like to not be praying for myself or to not be praying for my own children or our situation, and praying that the business keeps coming in for these people who have now entrusted me to bring them leads. So it's hard.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. But I was feeling pretty good I like this week, because right before I left, I'm going to finally talk about it. We got our fourth mediation agreement.
Hallelujah.
Signed. Yeah. Well, I don't even know if it's signed, but the attorneys, I think, kind of just sign in behalf of us.
Like it's a done deal, right?
Yeah.
You can't go back on it now.
No.
Okay.
No.
So exciting.
Yes. And I mean, it's just, I had to chip away at so many things. Like, I cried after trial because there were things I didn't get that I desperately wanted, but like I had to go to trial to get even what I had. But then you have to like almost keep going back, and it's like I said, people are like, oh, so it's over now. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, for the moment, but we'll be back 6 months from now when he's another 6 months behind, So anyway, I was able to, I kind of like wrote out my demands myself. I felt like I had a lot that I could ask for or demand or say, look, no deal. if this is how it's going to go, because I feel like I've got all the leverage here, because of his arrearages, which is, remember, back pay. So I said, basically what he wanted gone was all of the money that he owes.
Right. He didn't want to owe you anything.
No. And he wanted gone, he wanted the appeal dismissed. So there was this, we filed remember, in a 10-second summary, we got our ruling, our judge retired. Judge number 2 was babysitting the case. He kind of reversed a bunch of the good things. So then we appealed his decision. So we just,
most people believe that if it had gone to appeals, you would have won, because that other judge had no idea what he was doing.
Yeah. So when you appeal something, then it goes to the appellate court. And then what I didn't know was that the appellate court will say whether, like, yes, you're right, or no, you're wrong. But if they say, yeah, you're right, this was mishandled, then they just send it back to their district judge, a third district judge. And I'm like, what? So I have to like now retry it again in front of a judge number 3, because the second judge was just babysitting and already had, was that, you heard him, was there for 2 hours and was like, I'm actually babysitting. I'm off to another district doing a different kind of cases. I don't even know. But so he wanted that appeal dismissed. I thought, if anything, that they would be the ones appealing, but I guess what they filed was called a motion to reconsider. So basically, reconsider this crappy ruling. We don't like it. It's not fair. And so they kind of were successful with that, which was enraging. And then I appealed that. So Steve, my lawyer, has to file the appeal to get it on record, because there's deadlines. And then once that happens, we then stayed the appeal. You're going to have to wait, India. Okay. They stayed the appeal, which means they paused the appeal. So that
you can do mediation.
Yeah. No, they paused the appeal because, oh my gosh, you have got to be kidding me. I've got a child here that's begging me to undo her stinking screen time. Oh my gosh.
There's only one of you. You can't hide from them.
I know. And she's like, I'm like, I can't do it. And anyway, so we stayed the appeal. Yes, pending mediation, but mediation is required. So you can't even go to the appeal unless you have had mediation. But we were kind of, the attorneys were in between all of that. This is kind of like, it doesn't matter, but in between the appeal and mediation, we had a hearing also. And that was a motion to enforce. So before the appeal and before the mediation, we have this hearing where we're like, look, he's so behind, but we're waiting for mediation. In the meantime, I'm not surviving because he's not paying. And that's when the commissioner at the time said, yeah, I see a reason. I see that you needed to come to court for this. And basically ruled in my favor, but the attorneys said, and this is what the opposing counsel was so good at, he would delay, and say, oh, me and Steve, we're going to come to an agreement. There's no need, for this hearing. But we had to get to a hearing. We had to enforce this motion, enforce the hearing to get him to come to the table. And that's what they do. And then they just, drown you out financially because you're having to keep filing these motions to get them to respond. I had to file a motion to enforce the petitioner to go to mediation, which was court ordered. So it's me spending all this money to get him to do something that we're court ordered to do.
Yeah.
To get the ball rolling. And that's what my first attorney said. She was like, I have noticed that half the time we are the ones dragging these people to the finish line. We are the ones filing all the paperwork, hitting all the deadlines, and
Which, do you think that the original judge saw that? Because that's why he originally gave you attorney fees, is because I think the judges that are there a long time, they start to see like, oh, this would have been done, but this one party drags their feet.
Could be. And even the judge, before we went to trial, we have, again, pre-trial, a judicial settlement conference, another pre-trial, and we have one meeting with the judge before we go to actual trial, which is like a third pre-trial. I don't even remember how many we had, but he sat there for a minute, with us for 2 hours, just kind of getting his bearings and, figuring out the case. And he said, I think that in a nutshell, he said this, in fact, I wasn't even on for this. He dismissed me and the petitioner and stayed on with both attorneys and said, counsel, I hate it. I would encourage you to have your clients settle. I'm like, oh yeah, like tell me something you haven't heard. Yeah. But he said, I would encourage you to have them settle because it's no longer, he's like, I've been in so many cases where it's no longer like a matter of half and half. It's more a matter of like 90-10 or 100-0. He's like, it's like who is right and who is wrong. It's not, an even split down the middle necessarily. And he said, and so one of these parties is going to basically walk away disappointed.
Very happy, and one's going to be very mad.
Yeah. So he was like, I encourage them. And so, of course, I'm like, well, is it me? Am I going to be the one that walks away disappointed? Or is it has to be him? And so I was like, I had come so far and worked so hard to get there that I was like, we're doing this. We're freaking doing this. So, anyway, we finally get to mediation, and the hearing. And because the attorneys said, well, we're gonna, figure this out. There's no need to, move on with more hearings. So the appeal was stayed, meaning it was put on pause while the attorneys would come to an agreement. Well, again, he never would respond. So then we have to file the motion to get him forced to mediate. Then we go to mediation. And after like two and a half hours, the mediator comes back on.
This is the last time?
Yeah.
The last time.
The very last time, yeah. We had 4 rounds of it. And this was the 4th. And he said, well, the petitioner has mentally checked out and only prepared for 2 hours, so he's done and gone. I was like, well, we're not done. But, we had basically reached agreements on things. And, for example, these were the things that I kind of demanded or said, like, I have nothing to lose if this mediation fails. And now remember, it's 4th mediation. I have kind of learned from mediation number 1 where I was just like, just like listening like a little girl, like, just tell me. Yeah. Now I'm like, I don't care. I'm paying you to just, I freaking do not care. And if you think this or that, or that I shouldn't, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just doing this because it's required. So I said, these are my non-negotiables. I said, number one, I want sole legal custody. That's one thing that we had agreed on before was joint, which I have like been so mad about ever since.
Because
I know.
explain, hey, maybe I'll phrase it this way. My understanding of having to share legal custody means that in that app that you were ordered to use, every time you go to the doctor, you're supposed to let him know what has been happening at the doctor and how much it costs, and every event ever, you're supposed to include him in and ask for his permission or whatever, right? So now you have sole legal custody. It looks like what? You just
Well, yeah, you're pretty much right. But it's not even just that. It's you have joint legal custody. That's every decision that's made medically, educationally, financially, whether or not they get, a vaccine, whether or not they can have a surgery. I mean, I had final say from the beginning. So my attorney was like, look, sole legal custody and final say is basically the same thing. One of you has 51% and the other has 49.
okay.
He's like, and I was like, it's not good enough. Because I still do not want to have to answer to him. I was like, Steve, you don't understand. If I have to ask him for one of my kids to have a surgery, he won't respond. And I'm lucky if he does. Like, I couldn't even get him to mediation. And he's like, all right, well, let's put something in the paperwork that says if he doesn't respond in 48 hours, you go ahead and go through with it. And I was like,
48 hours for a surgery is too late, Joe.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could have been, passports. You think of all the decisions you have to make for your kids, whether or not they take an antidepressant, whether or not, he'll agree to let them play soccer at the school, whether or not they get baptized, like all of it. They have to agree. Again, I had final say, but I still had to like give him the courtesy of asking.
And it was like being a bookkeeper. I was like, you should not have to go and take the kids and do all the work. And then after all of that, go back in the nighttime. And instead of, feeding yourself or clothing yourself or taking a shower, now you're back on your phone or a computer typing out what happened. And
that he never read.
Gonna read it. Yeah,
he never read. Yeah. And then it would be like so enraging to have to, document all of this. And then it was held against me. So they're like, oh, she didn't ask for Xander to get an appendectomy. I was like, yes, I did. I said, look, on May 5th at 8:04 p.m. or whatever it was in our family wizard, and this is in a hearing, and I defended it. And I said, it's right here. He didn't read it. And then, opposing counsel comes back on. Oh, well, we got that. That was wrong. It wasn't his appendectomy.
And was the appendectomy like the exact one that they were fighting you on? Because if you wait on an appendectomy, you go like gangrene, like you can die.
I know. He had surgery at midnight.
You're going to wait for a dad that's not going to respond and let the kid die?
I know. So that's why I said, well, he said, oh, actually, it wasn't that one we're referring to. It was one of Nico's clubfoot appointments that he didn't approve. I was like, what? He didn't approve. I tied those boots in bar for 4 years. Every single night. I went to every single appointment. I watched the tears on that poor little baby every time his foot got twisted in that cast. I think I can count 4 times when the petitioner put his boots and bar on, and never, of course, didn't even do it right. Like,
did he go to any appointments?
Maybe the first one. But I went to everything after that. Like, and and there is a procedure for all of my clubfoot mamas out there. There is an art to putting those boots and bar on, because if there's a wrinkle in the sock on these new babies and you put that, it creates like horrible ulcers, pressure sores on their feet. And I mean, it was so challenging. But I was like, are you serious? I didn't clear an appointment with him. Like I was his mother. I scheduled dentist appointments for the petitioner. I scheduled colonoscopies for the petitioner. And instead of it being an act of love, I was controlling. And now I can't control or make appointments for my own kids without it being held against me. And that reminds me of a good friend and attorney who is fighting her own battle right now, and who also helped Leah champion Ohm's Law, right? She said that, I don't know if her son was hiding or playing in the
Was this
dryer,
the washing machine? Oh, the dryer.
in
Yeah.
the dryer.
Yeah.
Yeah, dad turns it on. I think to punish him, honestly. And the kid gets hurt. I think it hurts his neck. So mom takes him to the doctor. And then mom is held in contempt for taking the son to the doctor without dad's consent for the injury that dad created. I mean, this is what we're freaking dealing with in family court.
It's wild.
It's the dumbest things to be punished for. So I said, I just want legal custody, sole legal custody. I don't have to ask the dude. I don't have to wait 48 hours. I can just go. And, because he never cared before. He's not going to care now. He's even less involved than he was, like 10 times less involved than he was before. So I don't want to have to ask anything. I don't even, final say is not good enough for me. So then that's when the mediator said he agrees to sole legal custody under one condition, that when it comes to religious ordinances, basically the petitioner gets first dibs, and he does not want the children to have the option of choosing who does the ordinance. And I said, come again? Wait. So basically he's Satan, right? Because isn't this the church of agency?
Yeah.
And
you will do what I want you to do, or else you will do nothing.
I know.
No, that's not how this works.
I just started laughing. I was like, are you serious? Like I wanted to say to all the people on this, it was a Zoom mediation. We didn't even meet in person. And I wanted to say, are you guys hearing this? Do you see that this is all about him, and him doing the ordinance, and him doing the baptizing, and him doing, it's give me all the glory. He doesn't want the kids to choose who does it. And I said, you're kidding me, right? And he's like, that's the deal. He's like, and I guess, this is one of those things that fathers really look forward to. And I stopped him. I'm like, nope, I am not doing this. I was like, what about the rights of a mother? Why is this always the father's right? Because it's the priesthood, and I'm not bashing any of that, but I am so tired of just the woman's feelings being disregarded. Just being at the baptism of Kenya alone was difficult enough. Mm-hmm. And I am not about, and I started going off on this mediator, and I said, look, and let me reference or preface this with saying the mediator was gay and had a husband and went on a mission and left the church and thinks that it's toxic. So it actually worked in my favor. Because I said, look, I am not about to have my kid get baptized by someone that they don't want and have them resent the church, resent me for forcing it, resent the ordinance itself, resent the day, have horrible memories of it. I said, I'm not doing that. I can see him starting to change his mind, because he's like, look, this is what fathers love. This is something they look forward to doing with their children. Because again, they're all men.
But like, I'm like even worse than you. I'm like, forget the father's rights or the mother's rights. It's the person being baptized who should have the say in what they're doing. This is not about the mom and the dad. This is about their covenants that they're making. The mom and dad aren't making the covenant.
It's not about the kid, not about the kid in mediation or family court. It's never about the child's best interest. But I am just like so sick of the father and his right to baptize. And anyway, but yes, it should. And I said, look, he's baptized Ari and Treyu because they wanted him to. And as much as I freaking hated it, I did it because that's who they wanted. As much as it was, challenging and gross to be at.
Because it wasn't about you. It was about them.
Yeah.
Right?
And it was hard, but that's what they wanted, And I said, and I'm not about to force the kids, to have it. If they want it by someone else, then so be it.
This is the thing. I think that I think in this conversation, we tend to slip in and out of religious versus law, right? If you're looking at it from a legal perspective and you were not in Utah, you weren't around a lot of LDS people who understand what the priesthood is and how it works and what it means to us and who's able to perform with the priesthood power and who's not. Anyway, all of that. If you're in where I grew up in Washington, it's the father's expectation, but the mother has equal rights, right? Like in other faith traditions, women could baptize, women could do other things, right? And so legally, You have every bit of a right and a privilege to do that. Now, we don't believe that women are supposed to do that, right? But forget about what we believe and just look at it from a legal standpoint. Legally, you have every bit as right, as much of a right. And if you really are going to take it away from the kid as like the kid being the focus of it, legally, that is a horrible argument. You cannot argue from a non-religious perspective that the dad has the right and the privilege and he has like the first right of refusal, because in any other situation or most other situations, legally they don't care if you're a man or a woman, and they don't understand the ordinances.
Right. And so I'm getting enraged while I'm talking to this mediator. And I finally said, he's like, oh yeah, you know, he's like shaking his head, because remember, he thinks that it's toxic anyway, and he's left the church and is gay. So it was fantastic, because he's like, I can see that. I can see how you don't want your kids to just hate it.
Be forced to do it.
Being forced to do it. Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to be forced to do something. In fact, he's done the opposite of what he grew up being told to do. Yeah.
And so I said, and I never thought that this would come out of my mouth, because this is not how I grew up and not how I was taught. But I was like, if that's what the deal breaker is, then they just don't get baptized. I said they won't get baptized until they're 18 and when they want to, and they won't be ordained. And you know what? God will understand. I am not going to have that. They'll want it even more by then, you know, because there's kids all over the world that aren't allowed to get baptized or confirmed because mom or dad refuses to let them. And I'm not about to believe that God's going to be like, oh, sorry, you're not coming in heaven, you know, or whatever.
Right.
So, but I'm like, I refuse to make these kids forced to choose someone that is not in their lives. So I like held my ground. I said, no, I won't do it. I will not do it. And so Steve finally chimed in and said, why don't we just reserve this topic? You know, why don't we just decide that she's got sole legal, you know, financially, medically, educationally, and like, let's leave the religion stuff. Let's reserve that. And I was like, great. Because I'm getting heated. So I'm like, I want sole legal custody. I want the house free and clear. And the condition for that was to wipe away $100,000. Yep. A lot of money. So he now has no equity in the house. And I basically had to say to myself, I bought in the last 4 years of this battle, I was basically buying my house from him, buying him out.
Did you leave behind any time stipulation for anything too? Like you, whenever you sell the house, you get all of the money, but you don't have to sell it by any time anymore. You don't have because that wouldn't make any sense.
No, because like in the first decree, it says usually judges give you 90 days to put your house up for sale. Yeah. So as much as I was like, "Are you kidding me?" He gave me 5 years, and I was like, "What?" That was extremely generous in court, you know. And he's like, because he's talking about to make a mom of 8 kids homeless, you know. Right. So he said, Alex needs to leave. The petitioner needs to leave his name on the mortgage. And then in 5 years, she has to sell so that he can buy, you know, because what I didn't understand was that if I remove his name from the mortgage, then it's like refinancing in your rate. I have to, you know, it's like I'm getting a new loan or whatever. But I refinanced in 2020 with a 2% like home interest rate. And if I did it now, it's like I'm tripling my mortgage. And so he said he has to leave his name on. But I also didn't realize, because I'm dumb, that he wouldn't be able to buy a house if he's got debt, right? With this mortgage. But then I just was laughing because I'm like, you think he's going to go buy a house? And I just started laughing.
When we bought our first house, James was a contractor. Like, he wasn't a full-time employee anywhere yet, right? And if you're a contractor, if you're self-employed, you have to prove a certain amount of history of stability with your income, right? And so in order for the petitioner to buy a house, he'd have to have a lot longer stability than he has before he could ever even apply.
Right. So he has to and then let's not forget, he has to pay his taxes.
Oh yeah.
And that's been, 4 years. And so get the house, and he gets to have his arrears wiped away, which seems like such an easy, like, cop out. He didn't have to do anything. A crap ton of money, just like gone with the flick of a pen. But now if I sell the house, then he gets nothing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I asked for that. I said, I want the passports. I want to have them. At first I was like, I need to have the passports like in my possession, but like, or him notarized, because you have to have both signatures from both parents. And if he can't get there, then you have to get it notarized, or he has to get it notarized. And I was like, that will never happen. That will never happen.
No.
And so, but with sole legal custody, you don't have to get his permission. At least that's what I read on chat. So hopefully I don't have to do that. I also said I want his retirement, which is my money anyway. It was my money from 13, 14 years ago, like a year after we got married. And I was doing foreclosures for my dad's law firm. And I was like the sugar mama. And I put one in his name and one in my name. And I'm like, I want that back. So that's like a whopping $8,000. I was like, woohoo!
That'll get you through a month.
Yeah. And then I asked for, like one of the biggest ones for me was like getting rid of our family wizard, which is a stupid
that
app. And that, honestly, we talked about that more, like longer than we did the baptisms. That stupid app. And he's like, he just does not want to budge on that. I was like, are you serious? I was like, it's like $160 a year. Okay. Not a huge expense, but I'm paying for this stupid app. And yes, like there are some features that are great. Like it records, it'll note the time that he views a message, whether or not he read the message. I can put notes in there. I can put documentation in there. There's a whole expense tracker. So I can put in the receipts for all of the extracurriculars and all the medical. And then it can show, if he would have used the app, it probably would have been helpful, but he never looked at it. Hardly ever, I should say, and never looked at the calendar. In fact, I had written that we were in Bear Lake for 6 months in the calendar, and he still showed up on Wednesday night and said, I'm here. Like, we're in Bear Lake, bro. Did you look at the calendar? But I think the most annoying part was that I couldn't upload receipts anymore because it said the storage was full, not on my phone, but in the app. So upgrade for more storage.
Are you for real?
I was like, hell no, I'm not paying for more storage, because he does not. Because if he were to pay off the receipts as they came in, it would like delete them. And I could keep like refilling. But there's 350 something receipts in there. And it can't fit anymore because he never paid them, So I was like, I'm not using an app.
Is that some of the stuff that was supposed to be cleared with the arrearages in this last time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's all cleared up. But again, like I'm looking at my life 5 years from now and having to battle this app and buy more storage. And he's like, the mediator's like, well, he just likes to leave everything in one place. So I was like, well, but he doesn't use the features. I might as well just send him the receipts in an email, because at this point, what I'm worried about is if I can't upload these receipts and I'm saying this is how much he owes for tumbling and gymnastics, he will say, and mark my words, or his stupid attorney will say, he never got those receipts because I couldn't upload them, and we were ordered to use that app. So somebody might say, well, just text it to him. Like, no, I had to upload them to the app, and that was how he was supposed to pay me back, and he never did. So I'm not using an app that's later going to bite me in the rear because I can't upload because there's no storage left. He said, no, we can text or email. And so he finally agreed to that. And then that's when he came back on and was like, well, he's gone. And I guess the other best part was that I was like, so you're telling me that his arrears are just wiped out, and the $275,000 of attorney fees are just gone just because he can't? Just because it's not available? I'm like, this is why we're appealing. We can appeal those attorney fees and win on that. And so the mediator went back and was like, dude, do you have anything to give her for winning attorney fees? And also winning them in the hearing when there was the motion to enforce like a couple of months ago before we even got to this mediation. Like, do you have anything that you can guarantee her? So they got back on and they were like, Yeah, he can pay her $10,000 in September. And I was like, so I have to wait 4 more months to get anything, because he's not paying his monthly amounts. Like, no. And Dana's in my ear and she's like, don't you do it. And I was like, what do we do? Because I like want to be done so bad, but also don't want to just bend over and take it. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I might as well just go to the appeal. Let's go. I'm done. Let's go appeal, and have him pay the whole amount, $275,000 instead of a measly $10,000.
No, it will be more like 350 by the time you're done with another appeal and another trial and whatever.
Right. So, and I won the attorney fees on that last hearing. So I was like feeling good, but again, he's gone at this point. And so Steve said, why don't we say this? This is why Steve's good, because I'm talking a lot and Steve's just listening and he's quiet, but then he'll chime in when he has a strategy. And he said, why don't we do this? Why don't we say, because the mediator's like, apparently he has a gig in August and he knows he can pay her after that. You know what that gig is?
Yes, the play he's doing.
The musical at Eccles.
Is that Eccles?
Yes, which means to me either he must have gotten a sponsor. He had to have somebody that paid for it, So he's banking on that. That is what he's banking on.
How many times is it going to be performed? Is it going to be like a steady play?
One night. One night only. Yep.
Okay.
So he's like, Steve says, he has to pay her $10,000 plus be current on child support and alimony. Be current on what he's supposed to pay by October 31st.
Okay.
So that like at the time, I'm like, it's like almost 6 months away. This is absurd. I said, all we're asking him to do is what is already court ordered, Steve. It's already court ordered that he's supposed to be child support and alimony. Like this punishment doesn't sting enough. This consequence isn't good enough because nothing ever happens when he doesn't abide by it. We're just asking him to do child support and alimony. Like he's supposed to do that anyway. But this time the catch is to be current. He's like, well, then he has to be current on everything plus pay the $10,000 by October 31st. And if he does not do that, that will be reduced to a judgment of $25,000.
Increased.
Yeah.
He'll have to pay, instead of an additional $10,000, he'll have to pay $25,000.
Yeah. So he'll have to pay $15,000 on top of that. But again, I'm like, yeah, but I'm still going to have to file a motion November 1st that says this was what was agreed and he didn't do it, And then the other thing.
And ask for more attorney fees.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, you want to do this? I can go all day, baby. So that's when his attorney, at that time, petitioner's gone from mediation. And the opposing counsel gets on and says, well, I need to finesse that $25,000 number a little bit. And I was like, no, you don't. No, you don't, bro. That is the price. Like, eat it and weep.
It's literally less than 10% of what the court ordered him to pay.
And all I'm asking is for him to stay current on what he owes.
So you don't have to watch everybody's freaking dogs.
Yes, exactly.
And his 8 children.
Yeah. And he doesn't even have to stay current monthly. He just has to pay whatever he owes. Like, so let's pretend he owes me $10,000 a month. Let's pretend. So, and it starts June 1st. June, July, August, September, October, 5 months times 10,000 is $50,000, right? Yeah. $50,000 plus the 10,000. So he has to pay, whatever it is, $60,000. And it's about that, because I think child support and alimony is like almost $7,000. And then all of the activities and expenses is like $1,500 on top of that. And in August, it's like double expenses because of coach fees, competition fees, school fee, all the stuff. We're getting hit with it right now. Registration, like all of that. So it's like between $9,000 to $10,000 a month. He has to pay $50,000 by October 31st. So I think the thing that bugs me about that is that he doesn't have to pay necessarily. He does for June and then July and then August. It just has to be the total by October 31st. So he could technically make us starve until October 31st, and then pay the whole amount then. Well, guess what? He's already 15 grand behind. we're starting out we're starting out great over here. So it was supposed to begin June 1st. We haven't gotten June or July's child support, alimony, royalties, expenses, medical, nada, zero, zilch, nothing.
You know, it's interesting. When we first started podcasting, we were so careful not to talk about numbers and not to talk about anything that would shed an unfair light or just our obviously biased perspective.
Yeah.
Right. But I feel like we've been doing this long enough. How long have we been doing this?
I think we started in August of last year, maybe almost a year, or maybe
So
a year. Yeah.
Almost a year that we've been podcasting. And I just feel like, I mean, we learn all throughout the scriptures, even today's lesson, you know, all throughout the Old Testament, you've got guys that start out really good and they end up really bad. I don't, you know, poor David, like what the heck happened, man? You know,
Yeah.
there's just, it's all over. So we know that good guys can turn bad, but also bad guys can turn good, right? And so I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt and have my own experiences with people and allow people to change and all of that, right? But I've witnessed it enough myself that I am just like, I don't want to hold your ankle anymore. I don't want to, you know, it's just kind of like,
Oh yeah.
like I just, how much do you protect somebody who doesn't want to be protected? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like the petitioner is not doing himself any favors with his own image and what he does. And like, you don't have any non-disparagement, right? You don't, and everything that you've done, I think is it open to the public?
I
Like,
mean, you can look up anything you want. I don't know how much is like, I mean, I think you could, I mean, I just watched a girl that requested her own parents' court records and transcripts and read her whole parents' case. I mean, I have all of mine, you know?
like I want to make sure that we're not doing anything that is illegal or unjust, right? But like for a woman to have to sit and pretend that she's not destitute and poor to save the image of the man who is financially
ugly.
and emotionally and, you know, damaging them, it's just almost comical at this point.
Yeah.
And it's like, what am I supposed to do here? Am I supposed to be like, Julie, you can't say that? Or am I like, dude is so far in arrearages that like he's never going
I
to catch
know.
up. Like, what do you guys want to know? You know, like,
Yeah. At the end of the day, we have a clause that you have read that I have sent that says the parties can say whatever they want.
yeah.
Because
I mean,
when he started accusing me of disparagement and poisoning the community with my smear campaign, I mean, let's not forget it would be one thing if I was never vlogging to begin with. If I was like quiet already and never had a social media presence, but I was making money from YouTube. And it's another thing that I have been doing this for 10 years. And
you know who you sound like right now?
Who?
I probably shouldn't use this comparison. It'll make a lot of people mad.
Erica?
No, Candace Owens.
Oh.
Because people have said she's made a lot of money on poor Charlie's demise, right? And she's like, I was already doing this.
Yeah.
I was already making the money. And she's like, my sponsors have not changed one iota. I already had them under contract. Like I have made zero additional money because of me. You know, she's like, basically it's more to her detriment, right? It's like
right.
she puts everything on the line. Whereas Turning Point USA has made so much money. It's like $250 million.
Yeah.
They were hawking his shirt and like all of this stuff instantly. They geofenced his funeral. They did all of this stuff. Like they are the ones who are using his name for a podcast and doing all of this stuff. And it's like, I don't care whether you're for him or against him or you like it or you don't or whatever. Like when it comes to these situations, genuinely and honestly, like this is what you are already doing.
Yeah.
And you're already out in the public. And it's like, no, you weren't on a podcast talking specifically about him and you guys fighting or something like that. But like your life was already out there. You were already monetized on YouTube.
But it wasn't even, it wasn't even just for fun. Like I was making money for my children. And so once that's taken from me, now I have nothing coming in.
Well, okay, again.
So that was what we tried to argue for so long, but he kept saying, "Oh, she's disparaging me. She's disparaging me."
Yeah.
And I was like, but the disparagement claims were so ridiculous. Like again, going to the bishop's
So
storehouse,
ridiculous. Yes.
saying
So
like,
ridiculous.
this is challenging as a single mom, and I didn't want this. And I remember specifically, and we played it because I like prepared. I was so ready and so excited to play this commissioner saying, because I said on a podcast, I think it's like, Who Am I is like the second podcast that I did. And it said, I am a single mom, a newly single mom of 8, and I can't talk about the things that are happening in my life. That was highlighted in a transcript, sent in as evidence, used against me for disparagement. And she said, this commissioner, who I can't stand, said, by you saying you can't talk about it, is talking about it.
Yeah, we played that on the podcast. Yeah.
And she found me in contempt, I think, for that. And
this is, again, the Lego thing. Again, what you're talking about applies to the Lego scandal, because they silenced Reckless Ben, who has a huge following, right? They silenced him because they said, and they like wouldn't even tell him what exactly they were in court for and what he was accused of, because if they told him, then he could make a video and he could make money off of it. And so in the same like case, they tried to say that they could silence him because it wasn't like going to hurt his livelihood. It wasn't going to whatever. But also in the same thing, they're like saying, well, you can't say these things because he can make money at it. And people are like, wait, so is he making money or is he not making money? Is silencing him going to hurt his income or is it not? Because you're trying to use the same coin on both sides here, right? It's like,
yeah, you don't get
so and what is so interesting is if you listen to Peter Tragos, he's the lawyer, what he points out a lot of the time is that the law is always behind the times with like technology and whatever. And it's obvious that a lot of judges and laws are behind with things like YouTube and influencers and things like that. The laws don't apply the way they should in this situation, right?
Right. So I almost had in fact, I had him lined up. I had a YouTube expert that was going to be testifying about, hey, look, in fact, when you type in, the Big Family Jewels, it pulls his name up, which only helps him. But it's a detriment to her if you pull it down, because that's the only way she's making money right now.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, when we were talking about church and court or legal stuff, like the church won't, like, they don't want to be any involvement, right, in legal stuff.
No.
Zero involvement. But
they don't want to have to take sides.
But the judicial system can get involved and all up in the church's face if they want. Like,
yeah, it's kind of wild.
They can infiltrate, but the church won't infiltrate the other way. So they can say, "Oh, you took that right away from the father who." So they can find me in contempt for not allowing, even though I would never do that, him to baptize one of the kids when this is a church matter. Yeah. And I even got pulled in and like yelled at for having a meeting with my stake president. Did you have a meeting with your stake president in which you were trying to decide on who was baptized? I'm like, first of all, I thought that meetings with your clergy
ecclesiastical
were private, and second of all, he called me in. So I don't know, and it was the guardian ad litem who was ripping on me for that. You could have ruined a perfectly good baptismal day for your child. And I was like, are you serious? I planned the baptism. I got the clothes. I got the programs printed. I folded and put up all the chairs. I got the desserts. I did everything. All he had to do was show up, and I've ruined the day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the rage. So anyway, yes, I was doing this long before. You're going to hurt my income if you take it away. And I was like, if you want to play like this, because I remember having a discussion with a loved one where I got my feelings hurt. And it was something about like the petitioner driving with the kids on his lap. And I was like, excuse me? Because they came and said, Mom, we drove with Dad. And I was like, you did what? And I was like, okay, I can understand if it's like in the neighborhood or if he's on the way home from church. Like sometimes we'll put our kid in our lap just to hurry 2 seconds away from home. And they were like, no, we were on busy roads. I was like, what? So I was telling that to someone, and she's like, well, Julie, you've done that too. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I have, right? From church or something. Or if I'm running to a neighbor and I'll just say, jump in the front seat or something. I said, but what you don't understand is that he's playing dirty and I have to play back the same way. Whether or not like it's like, oh, well, that's kind of a cheap shot. That's all court is cheap shots. You know, and like digging an elbow in just to shove it to them and to spite them. Like you have to play the same way back, you know? And so I had to play the game. It's all a game of checkers and chess and hide and seek. And
right. So you started to collect the same kind of evidence and the same kind of stuff that he was using on you.
So my whole point about this is that he would say she's disparaging me by saying this, and this video where she says she can't talk about it, and this video where she says, you know, it's hard being a single mom. And I was like, all right, you want to play this game? I'm going to play your dumb game. And I went and combed through YouTube and found video after video after video of him at a fireside where he's saying, you know, I'm going through some difficulties. I was like, oh, nope, you can't talk about it being hard for you. Sorry. Nope, you can't do it. And I would jot down the time and send the video. Then I find another fireside, you know, for those of us that are going through divorce, I was like, nope, you don't get to say that. And I would jot that down and send it in. Then I found a bunch of videos about him talking about corn. And I wrote those down and sent them on in. And it was video after video after. And then
it became obvious that you were a good sleuth and had a lot more info on him than he had on you.
Yes.
And that's why they said no disparagement stuff, right?
And so I brought that all up because I was like, look, I never once stooped to that level until now. And now I'm finding all the stuff on you that I never would have been like, because he disparaged me just as much. Just as much. And so I sent it all in, and then I'm sure they read through it, and I can only imagine that they were like, well, crap, dude, you're saying the same stuff. And that's when opposing counsel said, well, why don't we just let the parties say whatever they want to say? And I was like, done. I've never agreed more. And the judge was like, oh, this makes me nervous. And because it's not done. And that is why I feel such a duty to so many women in court. You know, I feel like this duty and this obligation to talk about it. No, not to throw him under the bus and not to be like, oh, he sucks and this and that, and not to call him names or whatever, but to tell my story without him being like under the ground, you know, and freed from him. Like I can talk
Leah,
about it.
the reason Leah can speak out is because he's no longer around.
Yeah.
He is dead. And that's the thing is like, I hate to disparage somebody, but I also
another thing to just say the truth.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So that's the thing. It's not disparagement if it's the truth, if it's actually happening. To the line that you have to cross for disparaging, especially for a public figure, is pretty high. It's pretty hard to prove disparagement because you have to prove that somebody knowingly told a lie, and you've never done that. Nothing that you've ever said, you've knowingly told a lie. It's all accurate. Now it's from your perspective.
Right.
But it's like
backed it up with evidence.
Right.
I mean, you see, I have the folders right here. In fact,
thanks to that dumb app that he likes to use. Yeah. And thanks to the dumb app, you have like evidence after evidence after evidence after evidence to back up anybody who says that you're disparaging, right? You have it like, you have minute by minute, dollar for dollar to prove, no, what we're saying on this podcast is true.
It was like to my detriment because it was a full-time job. I got a law degree basically in the last 4 years, documenting and putting timestamps on everything and Post-it notes and highlighting everything that happened and when. And somebody has said, you know, what's the point? And I agree, like, what's the point to all this documentation? They hardly ever look through. It's too much. But for the piece,
insurance.
For the piece, the one thing that they do see that you did document, that could make all the difference.
Right.
So back to
it is insurance for future, and it's also peace of mind, because I think when you put it down on paper, for those listening who are like, I'm tired of documenting and all of that, I think at least for me, I've always been the person that's like, oh, I'll remember that. Do you think that I ever remember anything that I say? No, I don't.
I'm going to put this in a safe spot so I'll remember, and then I can't.
And then I forget the safe spot every freaking time. Yeah. So when you have this book, at least one, it's helping your brain commit it to memory. And two, you relieve yourself of the emotional burden and that anxiety of trying to remember something, of being like, hey, I have to remember this. And so I think it's more for you than it is for anybody else. But even in this situation where I'm like, dang, should we like stop this podcast and erase things? And, do we cut out the specifics because we don't want to disappoint fans or whatever? And it's like, at the very least, I know that it's all true.
Yeah.
I know. Well, yeah. I mean, I almost came on the podcast tonight in a tank top. And I was telling you before you hit record that even my 4-year-old that I was trying to put to bed rolled over, was like, Mom, you stink. You need a shower. And he's like, you need cologne or something. Why do you smell so bad? And it's because I had just come back with my kids from the sweltering 100-degree weather. We were outside we hiked almost 2 miles. And so I'm like sweaty and gross and all of that. And I never would have done that at the beginning of this podcast, right? In fact, I had wanted to do the podcast just with my hair down every time so that people wouldn't recognize me when I was out,
Yeah.
But that took too much effort. So here we are, like podcasting
in the closet,
9:30,
Riverside. I know,
10 o'clock at night on a Zoom type thing, sweaty and gross, and we're just kind of like, I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I don't care what people.
So many, have said it's authentic. It's
this is as authentic as you get, really.
Yeah, and not like we're not going to do it at Sundara. We still will, or whatever studio we go to. But it's easier, faster, quicker, better sometimes. Just like this, even though it's not as classy, but at the end of the day,
I'd like to go back to Sundara to get some more interviews with people. I like Sundara for like in person and bigger groups. I think that is nice, but
it's just the editing. Like I'll be doing this tonight, and it's so fast, and it's so time consuming with everything else. But anyway, back to when he said, the judge was like, I'm going to side with one party. He felt like I like to believe that it was me, and then it all got foiled. And here we are a year after trial. Here we are again, kind of hopefully closing it up, but we're going to be back, stay tuned. We'll be back in court 6 months from now, somehow, some way.
Or if we're giving him the benefit of the doubt, maybe his play will go amazing. Everybody should go and see it. Let's go maybe we should go and see it. Maybe we should do like a review
and wear a little clown outfit. I'm down.
No, but I definitely couldn't put my hair up. Can I go in sunglasses so nobody knows who we are?
I would love to sit on the front row. I just don't want to pay for anything because I'd be like, no, I'm just taking money. I want to say to all the customers or the viewers, like the people going to watch, you can just pay me. You just put your ticket money in my hand because we'll see if that. But again, everyone remember I've talked about this. Well, that's your very bread and butter. And again, I'm like, stop making it sound like I'm relying on him. I am so over that too. Like, well, he's your bread and butter. No, he's not. I am my own bread. I'm the milk.
It's that you're biting the hand that feeds you. No, I'm not, because he doesn't feed me.
No,
I wouldn't bite him if he would feed me. But I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the way he proposed. Okay. From the very beginning, he couldn't care less about what was in your belly. It was what was in his performance.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly
there you go.
And even when he was making a ton of money, when I subpoenaed all the records, I still didn't get it. That is why it was so amazing when the judge wrote in the order,
yes,
it is woefully inequitable.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a freaking t-shirt that says that on there, because it was when he said that. And when he said, Julie was very persuasive and I was like, did he just say I was persuasive? This is amazing. It was like the biggest compliment to hear that from a judge.
Oh man, I know. What a sweet sound. Yeah.
So anyway, that is pretty much open and going to be like open. I mean, it's out there now. I mean, it's like pretty much a done deal, and I just need it to be signed. And I've already deleted the stupid app because I never want to see that app again. It like gives all of us PTSD when we see it like come up on your phone. And then, I mean, school's about to start. I don't have to, and the paperwork also says that I'm not responsible to tell him, when things are, like, I don't have to be his secretary, and he's fully capable of getting himself on email lists like we all did, getting himself on the newsletters and on group me's and all the 10,000 things we're in.
Yeah.
Instead, he just waits and says, "Oh, your mom didn't tell me." Well, guess what, bro? I never needed to.
Yeah.
Take some initiative and show that you're interested. And so we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty good at predicting his behavior. So,
Well, there are patterns, and you learn to read patterns.
yeah.
But I feel like we could give him the benefit of the doubt and say we hope for the best. We hope that, because again, I do believe that people change. You know, when there's that saying that people don't change, it is a complete lie. But how often do they change for the better?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a lot easier to find people in the scriptures that start good and end bad. Right?
Well,
So
and how, I mean, I'm the devil's advocate here because, remember, I'm the reason he's not successful. I'm the reason that he's not where he wants to be because I'm too negative and too controlling. And
you're
he
not the
would,
devil's advocate. That's him living in your head,
yeah,
and it's all a lie.
yeah.
Right? It's all a lie.
That's what he said, right? I am the reason he's not successful. I am the reason that he's basically not where he wants to be because I was dragging him down. I was
You know,
negative
it's
and then,
interesting because my husband could say the same thing. When I met him, he was going to be a doctor. He's going to take over his practice. Did he take over his dad's practice? Nope. Is he a doctor? Nope. Why? Well, one of the reasons is because when he was studying, he felt like he should be with us. And when he was with us, he felt like he should be studying. So is it my fault that he didn't finish med school? No, it's not. It's the fact that he was a dad who was raised by a surgeon who loved his dad, but would have loved to have seen him more growing up and said, I don't want that for my family. I don't want that lifestyle. I'm not doing it. But is it my fault? Or does he just love me? So he made a choice that was to benefit us and our family,
yeah,
right? Like is the idea that it's your fault if he has to make any sacrifices at all? Like, come on now.
I
Like,
know.
the fact that at 56 years old, you're not the person you thought you would be, or in the place that you thought you would be when you were 25. Okay. So welcome to the rest of us,
Yeah,
right?
seriously.
Life changes. And when you decide to make people, and in your case, a whole basketball team, like, your dreams from when you're 15 in a boy band don't get to rule your life anymore. Sorry,
Right,
bud. You
right.
know, I was telling my cousin that's visiting about your situation, and she was just like, no, no, like, you don't get to do that. She was like processing, she was like, no, that's not how it works. You can't
Right.
just decide one day to be like, actually, I'm done. Like, peace out.
Yeah.
We made 8 people, and now I'm like, I'm over it. Been
That's what
there,
he
done
said.
that.
I'll never forget when he said that. I'm not there anymore. And I was like,
What? Even you're not there.
I was like, we made covenants. Like this was for time and all eternity. I love you. And he's like, I'm just not there anymore. And I'm like,
Even if it's
okay.
not, even if you're not in love, I actually don't care. I don't care. You can choose it or choose not to, but you created people,
Yeah.
like a village of them. You don't
Well,
get
he
to
just thought that
create
everything
them.
would stay the same, which was me waiting on him, like literally table waiting on him and doing his laundry, cooking meals for him and for his children, putting the oil and changing the oil, doing the sprinkling system, plumbing. Well, he just got to kind of go in and out as he pleased. He just thought that when he left, he's like, you just stay in the house. I was like, oh, so you'll just go get to live your own life and visit when you want? Is that how this is going to work? Because remember, I said, well, let's try the nesting where I stay
Yeah,
for
I
4
didn't
days
want to
and
do
you stay
that.
for 3. It's not going to work for me. Oh, okay. Well, what works for you? What makes you more comfortable? Let's make sure that it's comfortable and convenient for you.
I think that the moral of the story that I'm learning in our discussions and in a lot of other people's lives is life's not about you. It really isn't. My mom says that all the time. Life is not about you. And when you can figure that out, you're going to be a lot happier. It's about who you can serve and, be in the Lord's hand. It's about learning and becoming better as you do those things. It's not about serving yourself. It's not, you got to be humble and you got to be ready to work. And you're not working for yourself. You're working, for other people and for the Lord.
Well, that's where the delusion is because he believes that he's serving. He believes that this is,
Everybody
remember,
but his family.
yeah. Well, he believes that this is like for the greater good. This is a project for Christ. This is a missionary tool. This is me. He believes that it's delusion. He is under the
I do think it's
grandiose.
delusional because I don't care what faith tradition you're a part of. I have so much love and respect for so many faith traditions. I see so much truth all over the place. It's also why I get bugged when people get so anti or pro, like Candace or Charlie, or like these comments about, I can't believe you said anything about Eric or whatever. Like, I don't care what faith tradition you are. I see so much good in so many things, but also so much bad in a lot of things. And the badness comes with the pride and the selfishness. It's everywhere. It's a freaking plague. And what people don't understand is they will look at, I mean, obviously this is naive, but being an LDS person, when people leave the church, they'll say, well, I can't be a part of a church that taught this, that put my family in this position or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And then, you open your eyes and you start, I mean, really, it's the internet, right? You start to hear other people's stories. And every faith tradition will say that because somebody has a bad experience with
Yeah.
somebody who doesn't live the life that they purport to believe in. And then other people are like, well, if it creates people like that, I want nothing to do with it. So it doesn't matter what tool he's creating in the lives of other people. He could create an incredible play. But if they find out that the guy who wrote it, like, is doing the opposite of what the church and the whole meaning of the church is purporting to do, like, it just is so counterproductive to me.
Yeah. It's
It's
just
like,
hypocrisy. It's crazy to watch
what?
right in front of my eyes.
Yeah, because what good is a church or a program or an education system or anything if it doesn't make you happier and a better person in the long run? It's just fluff. It's just extra crap. It's just for show. It's a facade. It's just garbage. The only thing that's worth your time is something that makes you a better dad and a better husband. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Your career doesn't matter. Your money doesn't matter. Like, your relationships matter. In fact, my professor that I TA'd for at BYU, he would talk about, his name was Jeff Hill, and he would talk about the purposes for mortality, the reasons why we're here. And he would say, one, to become like the Savior; two, to learn skills of mortality, right? And three, to build and maintain eternal relationships.
Yeah.
The relationships and the knowledge and the skills, the person that you become here and the people that you become that with, the people you love, that's what you have on the other side. Nothing else. The notoriety, the money, the whatever, it means nothing on the other side. So if what he's spending his time doing isn't promoting that, then
Well, and
it's
what
all a
happens
waste.
after that?
After what?
After his date of this performance? I mean,
I
is he
suspect
again
that
a
it's a
tour?
trial. I suspect that if it does well, they'll say, okay, now we'll do 5 more plays or something. That would be my guess. Like, from a business perspective, it's probably like, well, we want to see how this goes.
I just wonder how many of these, the people that are involved in it, if they know and they don't care because they're like, oh, well, it's none of my business. I surely wouldn't want to be a part of something where, because I just had someone come over to my house the other day who was like one of the creators or organizers of something like FSY.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to my house and was like, are you guys like divorced? I'm like, wanted all this juice. And I was like, why are you asking? And because he was considering having him as a speaker.
Oh.
And I said, he does a great job. He would do a great job. I said, the problem that I worry about for you is that your organization will get ripped on. Because that is what has happened so many times, is he will go speak at something like that's church affiliated, bless that. And, it's the affiliate or the organization that gets ripped on. How dare you have someone who, it's not that he won't do a great job. It's that
he says the right things.
Yes.
But he doesn't do the right things.
So you're going to have him go and give a fireside on the covenant path or on eternal families. Sure, he'll give a great presentation, right? But he's not living that or abiding by it. In fact, his family is suffering. So do people just be like, well, it's none of my business?
It's, again, I keep going back to the Charlie Kirk stuff, because when people will say stuff to me, and that the unkind comments, or the, I can't believe you say that about Erica Kirk or whatever, it goes back to this idea of where people get their information and what they want. It's, people will stop looking into things when they like what they're hearing, or it's like, it goes to that saying too, it's not, the problem isn't reading church history, it's not reading enough church history. People will read church history so they get ticked off and they leave the church. But if they had kept on reading, they wouldn't have left the church, right? It's like, you just get enough. It's that same idea of people will only take the information they kind of want to hear, and they won't dig any farther. They won't and so people who hate Candace Owens or who hate Erica Kirk or love Erica Kirk or love Candace Owens or whatever it is, it's like, I know where they're getting their information. Like,
Right.
that's really, I mean, really, it's not a personal thing to them. It's not I'm not judging them. It's just very obvious where they're getting their information. It's not
Right.
good, bad, or indifferent. It's just literally information to me. Oh, I know who you're listening to. Right. Because I mean, so when it comes to people with him and with you and whatever, a lot of people, it's just easier because they understand. The older you get, the more you understand that there is so much complexity to life. You understand that, like, oh, you're so behind this candidate or this person, this star or this book or this idea, and then you start looking into more and you're like, oh, I didn't know that side of it. Or, oh, that person was good 5 years ago, they're not good anymore,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. You start to understand there's complexity and nuance, and rather than spending your precious time, which is the one resource we all have limited amounts of, right? We can't get it back. Instead of spending their time to try and understand it, they'll just be like, teach their own. I don't want to know.
Yes.
It's that kind of
Yes.
thing. It's like, and you can't possibly get enough detailed information about all your neighbors to be like, I know the two sides and I'm going to side with this person and feel accurate about it, right? You can't possibly. So the safest thing to do is to be like, I know there's two sides to every story. I'm sorry this happened. And they just like move on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
it's,
I mean,
it's a they're taking a gamble because some of the diehard, my diehards, I guess, that I don't ask them to do any of this. They'll go after these volunteers, who are probably talented musicians, but unfortunately they're probably being paid where I'm getting nothing. I'm sure they're being paid.
Well, and I think it goes without saying, but we should always say, like, we don't want anything bad to happen to the petitioner or anybody else that comes up, or comes out of our mouths. It's not that we want anything physical, emotional, spiritual, anything unfortunate or mean or whatever, nothing bad to happen to people. But I think that people are very loyal, and it's very frustrating to see what's happening to somebody, and you want to go and defend them. And whatever side you are on these issues, I always talk about, Lego and Candace and Charlie Kirk and whatever, because those are the issues that I've chosen to stay informed on. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what's top of mind, but everybody has these issues. And I think I see in all of those arenas and all of those issues, I see people coming at, if you come at Candace's viewers will go at other people. And, you came at Charlie or you came at Eric, and now we're going to go come at you. And none of them, well, most of the time, they're not asking people to do that. Candace specifically says, I do not want anything bad to happen to these people. I'm just trying to get down to the bottom of it. And she'll say specifically to her viewers, do not go and do this, right? And a lot of people do, because it's not about getting revenge, and it's just literally about getting the truth and understanding and whatever, right? But there are people who are defensive and loyal, and they'll follow you to the ends of the earth.
They do. Yeah.
And defend you,
They really do. Well,
so,
I got two dogs in here and people brushing their teeth. Ugh.
I got company. I gotta make sure. It sounds like maybe we're going to bed.
Yes. So thank you guys for listening. Put your comments down as always, and we'll read them, and we will see you next time. Go back
and look at the ones from last week.
I know.
Maybe next week we should answer some questions or something.
Yes, give us some good comments or questions, and we'll answer them maybe on the next podcast.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Bye.